Hello and welcome to another video about WinBidPro version 16 by GDS Estimating. I wanted to do a video about our new labor system and before the beta is actually released, which is coming out soon, end of this month, early next month, we should have it ready for everyone. So if you're on our beta list, you will be getting an email that kind of alerts you to that. And so the labor is completely different than it used to be. So we kind of started with a clean slate. It's easy to translate the labor from the old system to the new one, but then there's a lot more flexibility. So that's the reason we wanted to make it as flexible as it can be, and then a little more intuitive too. And even when it comes to glazing. So let me show you what's in the beta, or will be in the beta, and that'll kind of get you familiar with things. So if we go to the settings menu and go to labor configurations, here's where you can kind of configure any labor configuration you want. You can name it whatever you want. You can add whatever values you want. But the concept is, like I created one here called screw spline. The concept is we can add individual items. So this is a grid that can take unlimited amounts of items, but each item has just a name, so you can call it whatever you want. But let's say, for example, it's per joint installation. We have a category that has these different headings. So there's installation, fabrication, glazing, and miscellaneous. So miscellaneous would be like setup or rental, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I guess not rental, that would go into markup, but yeah, it'd be setup, something labor related that's just not specifically these top three things. So in this case, for per joint install, I pick the installation category, and then once you're in a category, you've got all these possible ways that the labor is applied. And you got pressure plate per foot, perimeter per foot, per joint, per cut. Now glazing has its own item here, so it's not really an entirely separate thing at this point. But I'll explain that more. So all these different things. So you pick what your method of application is right here. So this is per cut. So this kind of matches up to the way it was in V15 because we have a per cut install and a per cut fab. Actually, it's more per cut fab, not install, but anyway. So let's say it's per joint install. So I can change that, and then I can specify the time for that task. So that's one item, and I can keep adding items like that, and I can create new configurations, like whether it's for curtain wall or can stick or SSG or whatever. It's whatever you want to name it. You can even name it after a job and create, a configuration. So we're going to make this screen a little more friendly when there's a lot of different configurations. So this will improve as we go. But basically, I can drop a list down here, and I can see like what I have for curtain wall. And you can see there's some more items in here. And in this one, I actually added the glazing. So for the actual time that's dictated for a person to glaze a window or an opening, we can name the line item what we want. The category would be glazing, and per light per glazer is the kind of the definition of how it's applied. And then we define, let's say one glazer can handle a certain amount of weight. So I might as well show you the other part. For glazing, there's specific weight limitations now. So there's a per worker weight limit, and then there's a threshold that's set to determine when equipment is needed. And then when equipment is needed, you can actually specify how many people, how many workers there are for that equipment. So then the per light kind of thing kicks in, and it's, if it's over a certain weight, then it's this many workers per light, basically. And then you've got we go back to here where we've got our time per light, or I'm sorry, our time per light per glazer. So in the case of when equipment's needed, it would be 20 minutes times 3 per light. So anyway, plus the cost of the equipment, obviously. So that's a whole new kind of concept with labor. This whole thing's a whole new concept. So I kind of want to illuminate what we've done. But the ultimate flexibility is you can add and remove any of these items to any category of labor and then save that. And then when we go to a job like this elevation here, I can go to the labor tab. So we've moved the labor down to a tab in the drawing window. And I can apply after I select it, let's say. So let's say I just select screw splines in this, since this is like storefront. And then I apply the labor. And you can see how it kind of copies all those values in here. So I can actually go in here and individually edit different values too. So if my configuration as a kind of a global setting is one way, I can change it at the job level. So we'd like to keep that type of flexibility as well. We've recently changed this value down here, but you'll see in your little statistics window in the corner that it'll show the amount of labor that it's calculated based on all the different drawing settings here. So like I say, we can scroll through this, update things. We can even add new items here at the job level. So there's a ton of flexibility in terms of that. So each elevation would have this same grid showing labor amounts and then their own labor calculation. And that's how the program's going to come up with your labor for a job. So we have to generate a report still and show kind of itemized things in that, but that's the concept. So it's completely different than the old one, but it will be possible to kind of correlate the two. And our job is to kind of make some defaults that are there to begin with, and then you can add your own from there and tweak the ones that are already in the beta version. So just wanted to get you kind of introduced to this, and that way you're not blindsided when you get into the beta version. All right, thanks very much.